Welcome back. This is Through the Pipeline with Ricky Reeves, and
I'm Jeremy Reeves.
And we're going to do another episode about plumbing and heating.
All right. Well, Richard, how was your work winter in Erie, Pennsylvania?
Oh, the winter was definitely cold this year. We got a lot of snowstorms.
I think we were...
It's definitely cold.
I think we were gifted the past couple of years of good weather, and we didn't really realize how bad Erie and Cleveland weather can potentially be.
Yeah, we got...
But I think that Farmer's Almanac was right, though.
I did not see that.
I think they called for a bad winter.
It was pretty bad. Yeah. I know there was that one week where we couldn't even get to people's homes. The weekend.
Erie just fall from the number 1 to the number 2 spot of the most amount of snow this season?
I'm not sure where we're at, but I do know we were number 2 a few years back in the entire country. So
definitely, I just saw it.
It's debilitating. It's tough for us to run the company
tough
too.
To even get around.
Yeah, well, that's what it is. Get around. There was
and service our customers.
One weekend we had to shut down. Like we physically could not get to people's homes,
and that's part of the reason why the weather impacted even just getting organized to do this podcast.
Yeah. Yep. That's been
because I come from Cleveland. And I drive here, and we had one scheduled, and we got dumped on. And
by the weather.
It was 0 degrees outside, and
yeah.
I was like, I don't even think it's, I don't want to say not safe, but it's not a good idea just to do it that day because it was so bad outside.
Yeah, and I think right now we're kind of over the worst of the worst. It's end of March.
Oh, definitely the worst of the worst.
We got a little snow last night, which was kind of surprising, but
I always bring up that snowstorm from Edinburgh.
Which one?
In April. We got hammered.
Oh, yeah.
I remember going up the hill from going to Walmart and cars were sliding down.
It was pretty bad.
But that was like over a foot of snow, 2 feet of snow. I don't know. It was a lot of inches.
We get a lot of snow.
So it's not over yet, but I think that polar vortex, nasty, cold, negative weather.
Single digits is
probably done.
I think we're out of the I think we're out of the woodwork. Well, let's hope.
Oh my God. And we had so many dig jobs in that nasty cold weather.
Yes, worse.
On top of the furnaces and service calls.
Yeah, nobody likes to dig outside when it's 5 degrees.
It's terrible.
Unless we have to.
It's uncomfortable for everybody. I don't like doing it.
Slows us down.
If somebody, it's our job.
The big thing too is that the cold really just puts a beating on company equipment, vehicles,
employees,
guys, all the guys, and everybody in the field. It really puts a beating on you when you're in that wind, and it's hard to work, but we do it. We do what we got to do.
We do what we got to do.
So.
But now we're over. We're starting. We're
working towards
like hump day.
Air conditioners.
It's like hump day.
Yeah,
we're on the back end.
Yeah, looking towards sump pumps and drain lines and a lot of
air conditioning.
A lot of flooded basements. We'll start seeing here. a lot of water heaters too.
You know what I see a lot? I'll end up putting some backflow preventers in if there's a combination sewer.
Yeah.
Some spots in Cleveland and I think in Erie.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of areas that flood. Down in Indiana,
yeah,
floods horribly. So
well, I'm saying combination sewers. Where
there is combination sewers, but there's a lot of sewer backups from rainwater.
Yeah.
Is what I was talking about.
Yeah, because undersized.
Explain a combination sewer.
Combination sewer is when the storm sewer, you have 2 sewer systems in the municipality. Should be. You have a storm sewer where that is separated from sanitary water, which is your toilets, faucets, showers, and baths, where the storm sewer handles all your gutter and surface water from the rain.
The roads.
And the roads.
And where does that go?
It still goes to the plant, does it?
Not here.
It goes right in the...
Storm system goes directly into the bay and the lake. I think in
Cleveland it goes...
A lot of them do go in Cleveland. San Francisco, 100%.
Yeah.
They filter.
I think they still... Yeah, I think
so in our area, they don't filter the water that is on the roads or in the... downspouts or your sump pump lines is where it should be. So that's one thing that everybody really needs to be environmentally friendly too. Always remember, whatever you put on the roads goes into the lake.
Yeah.
So any oil, you really got to be careful with that.
Yeah, I thought they at least separated the oil and stuff.
Storm sewers go directly down to the lake. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, storm sewer. It's a storm system.
Yeah.
Yeah, goes right to the lake. A lot of places don't filter that out. And people think, this is a drain and it's going to get filtered, but...
Why down in Frontier area do they flood?
Because a lot of the stormwater is tied into the sanitary system.
On the homeowners end.
Correct. On the homeowners end, but also if these sewers get overwhelmed with stormwater on the sanitary side in the neighborhood. So long story short, if we get a major rainstorm, and there's a lot of homeowners that can comprehend what's going on, or it's happened to them, where they come home or whatever, big bad rainstorm, they have 2 feet of water in their basement and it's gone. That's because a lot of the sanitary systems are getting overwhelmed with all the stormwater systems. So there's a cross connection between the two somewhere, whether it's somebody's sump pump, and not just that, but it's also the sanitary system taking on additional groundwater that's not designed for.
And it happens quick too. And
Very
you know,
fast.
like if it's from the city end, a sewer's backed up, or it's overwhelmed with rainwater and sanitary water, it'll flood inches, if not feet, in your basement.
A solution for that, I got a good story. I'm going to tell you in a minute. I got a good story about that. So there's certain areas in the city of Erie, Cleveland, Menor, East Lake, certain areas that are very prone to this because flooding is higher in those areas, but also the storm or sanitary sewer system is older, may not be designed big enough for that 100-year storm. You have what's called a backwater valve you can put in. So it's basically a backflow preventer check valve that you can put on your drain in your house, or better in your yard. So you have an accessible, cleanable check valve is what it is. So it allows your water to go out, but that stormwater overwhelming sewer system to not come back into your basement.
There's a little flapper in there that'll
Yep, super common. It's a super inexpensive fix.
The back pressure from the city will shut that flapper. And
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of homes that will put furnaces and water heaters on blocks because we know cinder blocks because we know they're going to get a foot of water.
And the thing is too, if that equipment is in a flood, warranty.
Gone. No matter who puts it in, no matter what
we
manufacturer.
don't warranty it either, because I'm not trying to put my name on a rusted control board or a unit that's been flooded.
Yeah, and you got to remember,
it's just safety.
Water,
the gas valves for water heaters are 18 inches off the floor?
Yep, at the most, probably
at the most,
10,
yeah,
12. But the reality is, when someone does have a flooded basement like that, it's not clean water. It's sewage, unsanitary water.
It's disgusting.
It's very full of bacteria, and to get that in your furnace or air handler, and then you're blowing all that bacteria in the house. I don't want not in my house.
No, and we kind of have gauged over the years, like what areas should be raised off the floor.
Oh yeah,
with the furnaces and water heaters.
Water heaters too. That's a big thing. If they get wet, they're done.
Oh yeah,
100%. People try to say, "Oh, can you clean it? Can you replace parts?"
Some people will though, and
I won't touch it because it's a liability.
We don't put our name on that.
Only because too, these new water heaters, they have a sealed combustion design. So they pull the combustion air from a higher area and then pull it down below under it, there's like a super stainless steel mesh grating that all gets plugged up. And like I always tell people, would you pull your car out of a pond, let it dry out, and start it up and drive it every day? No, not me. No, but I do have a good story
about
this.
Good story.
I got a call.
Which one?
This one. I got a call from a woman this was at 4 a.m, 4:30, and I think it was down.
How long ago?
Oh gosh.
Was I there?
No, 10 years, 10 to 12.
I've been on Frontier at 3 a.m.
It's Frontier Park area, closer to the lake.
And Frontier's not the only place that floods.
Right, Frontier's
It's just like kind of known
a couple roads that are just and all the homeowners know it.
Yeah,
like they know it. They have backwater valves. They just know it. It happens there. And so she calls me and she's like, I have water in my basement. Can you come now? I'm like, well, we open at 8. If you wait a couple hours, I don't have to charge you an emergency fee. And she's like, no, I need you now. I'm like, okay. So I go there, and super nice woman. She's like, all right, down in the basement, there's some water. I'm like, okay. I open the basement door. There's no joke, like probably about 3 feet of water in the basement. And I'm like, I start laughing. I'm like, a little bit of water. You have this is a lot of water. And it was happening right after a storm. So the storm happened at like midnight and ended like 2 hours later. So I go into the basement and I put rubber boots on, and she's like, yeah, a lot of the water's coming from the one room over there. So I opened the door.
Titanic?
I swear to God, it was like the Titanic. And the door like blew open on me. I'm like, whoa. And like 2 feet of water just started rushing out. And I kind of chuckled and I walked up the stairs. I'm like, there's nothing anybody can do. Like,
No.
you got to wait it
Not
out.
much, unless you have the backwater.
Unless you have the backwater valve, something to protect your sewer. But that was like, she was freaking out. I'm like,
Which they need maintained.
yes,
Don't
they
forget
do.
that.
You got to get them clean, maintained.
Once
But,
a year, you got to pull it out. And
I'll
hose
never
off the
forget
bladder.
that. I felt bad for Liddy, and she was like, there's nothing you could do.
Nothing. You got to wait it out and then pump it out and clean up.
Yeah. Yep. You know,
Do you remember on Washington when we lived there?
yeah, we lived on
Do you
Washington
remember
Street.
That we got flooded down there.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
I was terrible actually because
Yeah.
this lady just had kittens and all of them drowned in the flood.
Ew, that sucks.
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah.
She was bawling. It was a horror story.
Yeah. So it's
It doesn't happen too often.
No, and
but
a lot
when
of
it
people
does,
won't even
it's
know it
destructive.
happens because it could be the one every 30-year storm,
Yeah.
and then
And that's what it was.
You know, we get those. And there's nothing that like, there's nothing you can do.
Except try and prevent it.
Try to prevent it,
If
you
you
know.
know it's a problem, I would definitely get a
Yep.
quote on one.
Yeah. Another one.
And you have to have flood insurance for your insurance to even cover
That's
it.
a big thing to talk about.
Yeah.
A lot of people think, well, my insurance
No.
will cover it. No, I would highly recommend if you think you're going to have flooding or anything, talk to your insurance agent about getting additional sewer backup coverage, they call it.
Yeah.
It's not covered under your normal policy. If your furnace goes, water heater, you
That's on you.
you have a finished basement, highly
Oh, man.
recommend. Or also, another option too is a lot of flooding comes from some pump systems.
Mm-hmm.
We would recommend putting a backup pump.
Yep,
To
that's a good
prevent,
one.
yeah, backup water pump or a battery backup.
Some houses get
Sump
so much
pump.
water. It's like a river, a creek, just constantly gallons of water every
Yes.
minute. I don't even know how much, but you really should have a backup to your sump pump if you're in a problem area. My house, I have spider webs in my sump pump, so I get no water. My house is very
my
drainy,
sump pump-
rocky.
Yeah, my sump pump runs literally
Yeah,
every 3
yours
minutes.
is terrible.
Right, but it's like
And what do you got in there?
I never get water in my basement because
Oh,
when
you
we
have the
built-
gravity.
No, I don't have a gravity. I have a normal sump pump system where all the perimeter drains tie into it. They go into a crock in the floor, and then a pump pumps it up and out of the house. But when we built it, it was perfect. We built the walls were like 6 inches above the floodplain, so I'm lucky that
You'll just
even
be-
if my pump fails, I'll never have water. It just fills up my crock.
Yeah, be floating under your whole basement.
It doesn't even float. It's
I
right
know.
out of we're not floating. I put a boat in there,
Yeah.
jet ski in the basement. But I have a water backup in there, and I didn't have one, and my house was 3 years old. My
So-
pump failed.
What do you like better? The water jet backup pump or a battery backup?
So there's two systems. One is a water jet, and that runs on your city water. So for every 1 gallon of water that the pump uses, it pumps out 2 gallons of water outside the house. And the battery backup ones actually run a battery-powered additional pump. So you have an additional pump in the crock with a battery and a maintainer system. I think they're both fairly effective. I've seen both fail.
I think they both call for their own situation.
Correct.
You know, you got to be aware of what this house really needs
Yep.
and not just love one or the other, even though I personally love water jet backup
So do
pumps.
I. Because the city water is rare to fail.
You lose electricity,
Like if someone
Your pump's out.
unplugs that battery tender,
you're done.
you're done.
There's maintenance.
There's maintenance, and
There's-
you should check them once a year, 100%.
sure. Yeah.
Every year, put it on your calendar. Check sump pump.
Yeah.
And a homeowner could easily do that. I mean, you could easily literally unplug your other pump, stick a hose in there, or just check the floats. There's a float on there. You can lift it up and down. Or you
Yeah,
can
you
have us
really
come
wanna-
out while we check your furnace or AC. Takes 15 minutes just to verify it works. Peace
Yep.
of mind,
Unplug your main pump, put the hose in there, fill it up. I
Yeah.
like to simulate the main pump failing, so I'll put the hose in there.
Yeah, I
and
like that too.
And just make sure that float is set properly on that backup pump.
Yep, that's definitely important.
But yeah, you can get so much. It's unbelievable how much groundwater there is.
I remember-
I mean, rivers. I mean, this one house we worked on has a river. And when we were digging
That's
a
crazy.
sewer, and he's like, "There's a river under here," and you could see the water moving in the trench. It was bizarre.
Yeah, and people don't realize when people build neighborhoods and start building around you, you need what's called water retention, and a lot of times it'll change the floodplains of things. So even if you didn't have water in your basement before, you may start getting a ton, or it might go away.
It is kind of seasonal.
It's seasonal too.
Yeah.
So I've definitely
Springtime's coming.
Yep, springtime.
We're probably going to get, some pumps are going to work harder.
Absolutely. Everything is going to be wetter, more water. They do also make like little alarms you can put in the basement.
I like those.
I like
just
those.
Plug in. There's two little probes.
So they're like
when the water
like
hits
a little
it,
alarm that goes off.
I love those.
The battery backups, I think they come with the alarm too.
Yep.
But also now a lot
You
of
can buy them
alarm
separate, too.
companies.
They're not that expensive.
Alarm companies are offering sensors too that you can put on your floor. So if if there's water, they'll call you or notify you.
I know
That's pretty
Honeywell
cool.
makes a rope that you can put around. I didn't like that as much as the actual alarm that goes in the crock. And you plug it in.
That's nice because it'll send you an alarm or you could hear it before it actually overflows out of your sump crock.
I like that. I like that. Just preventative, peace of mind.
Yep. So the other thing too is what I wanted to touch on was it's April, March 26th, almost April. All the snowbirds are coming back to Erie. And then this is when they find out what has happened over 4 months that nobody checked on their home.
Yeah.
So this is a big one. I highly recommend people checking on their homes.
Shut your water off.
Shut your water off.
When you go down to Florida.
Unless you need it. When you go down to Florida for a boiler, maybe you might need it. Or a water backup pump. You got to leave the water on.
You know what I like too?
But you definitely want to have somebody check on your home because
Yeah.
that's a big deal. Actually, real quick, my parents' home, I went in there last week and it smelled like gas.
Really?
Yep.
I didn't know.
They've been in Florida all winter, no
what was
problems.
it? Left the oven on.
Yeah, well, I left the ramen noodles cooking. No, the ventless fireplace was leaking by.
That makes
Ventless fireplace. It just the log. There's a gas control and it just started leaking by.
Does it have a pilot? Did the pilot go out?
Pilot did not go out, but it was just enough to leak before the pilot and leak into the house.
Scary.
So it's things like that. If you have an appliance like that, a ventless appliance, you should make sure it's shut off. Is not a bad idea. It's rare it happens, but it happened to my parents.
What other horror stories do you have from snowbirds?
Really good friend of ours, him and his wife. We had a call on a Sunday. I think it was during that polar vortex.
Yeah.
It was like at least 5 years ago, probably 6, probably longer. I don't know. It was recent, but they had gone down to South Carolina and they come back.
For how long?
It was a couple, 2-3 months maybe.
Snowbird, couple months?
3 months. Nobody checked on the home. And he had called my dad super mad. So he goes to open his front door, gets to his house, and the door wouldn't open. So he kicks the door open because it's stuck. And he's like, why is it stuck?
And this is a nice house.
Super nice house. And he walks in the house and it's like a steam bath, the whole house. This house is like,
You shouldn't laugh.
every piece of woodwork is swelled up. Every door is swollen, wide open. And all the paint's peeling off the ceiling. He had catastrophic. It was terrible. It took him months to rebuild. What had happened is he had a tankless water heater in the basement, and it was so cold he had a water line under his kitchen sink that had froze because it was on an outside wall. Well, it had burst when he was gone, so it ran for 2 months.
So it froze, burst.
So he had 120 degree water
for
spraying underneath his sink for 2 months.
That has to be the worst case.
They should have totaled the house. They did not, but it was pretty bad. It was a very unfortunate event, but that's why we recommend you check in on
Very
your house.
stressful.
Yeah,
Shut
or
your
like a little
water off.
water alarm type stuff. Since then, he always shuts his water off. He does have he has a steam boiler, but we ran a dedicated water line to the steam boiler, shut the whole house off, just drained it down, so that if his steam boiler does need water.
Plus, it's in his basement, and probably a floor drain right there,
Way
too.
to replace the boiler
in
the whole house because it was leaking on the boiler.
Yeah.
Wine cellar gone.
I know.
It was pretty bad. But it turned out, the remodel turned out nice.
I couldn't imagine. Luckily, he didn't have, kids or babies in the house. He was older and retired almost,
Yeah. Yeah, but that's just there's a lot of technology now too. Wi-Fi thermostats help.
That's what I was going to say. My favorite's I don't even use my thermostat on my wall. I use the app on my phone.
Yep.
And it'll tell me. I check it all the time.
Okay, I think that kind of wraps it up for this podcast. Hope you guys learned something good, and spring's coming.
Spring's coming. Be aware of a lot of water
Yep.
from the spring and rain and snow melt.
Yep. That's what we're going to be looking at the next couple months. And then,
Air conditioning season.
yeah, AC season. So thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed.
Yep. Thank you.
Reeves Plumbing and Heating. Everybody! Reeves Plumbing and Heating. When your equipment breaks down, Reeves is around. ReevesPlumbing.com.